with Otis Nixon. He played for the Braves in 91, 92, and 99. He has a record for stolen bases in one game with 6. He also has the franchise record for the Braves, stolen bases in one season. All right.
That's correct.
So first question I'm going to ask you. When I was growing up, and when every baseball fan is growing up, they always have somebody that they look up to. For me in particular, it was Chipper Jones. Was there one player that you really looked up to and idolized?
I didn't have one. I had 2 or 3.
Okay.
Willie Mays, Pete Rose, and I can't remember the other one, but we always had 1 or 2 that you actually wanted to run like, jump like, and Willie Mays, of course, and that's how I sort of mimicked myself and end up making, you guys say, one of the greatest catches in Braves history. I got to meet Willie Mays probably, I think, in San Francisco in 91, 92, and 93, my first time meeting him, and I was like, man, what do I say to Willie Mays? So he said something first. He said, boy, you look like you was trying to outdo me with that catch out there. What was on your mind? So to hear Willie Mays bring up my catch and his catch in the same word, in the same sentence, it felt pretty good.
You mentioned Pete Rose, whose nickname is Charlie Hustle. Speaking of hustle, let's talk about your stolen base records. You have the franchise record for stolen bases at 72. In one of those games, you got 6. What was going through your mind to be able to accomplish that?
I went back to Montreal 2 weeks ago. It's another country. They were trying to get a baseball team back, and I did interviews up there, and the first thing they said, what in the world were you doing against us? Did we make you mad or anything? But they traded me. That's how I got to the Braves. They traded me in 1991, April Fool's Day. And I thought it was a joke because Atlanta was the worst team in baseball. I did not want to come to Atlanta. I didn't want any part of it. They traded me over. I really didn't feel that good. So that was my chance to get back out for trade me to the worst team in baseball. So I ended up stealing 6 bases against the team that traded me. So that was sort of on my mind. But we went on that year. You probably don't remember, but we went from worst to first in 1991.
So, did the base coaches know that you were doing that? Did they tell you to do that?
Tyler, I'll tell you what. I've been playing for 25 years in Major League Baseball, college baseball, high school baseball, Little League. I've never had a coach to tell me that I could steal. They let me steal when I wanted to. Every single coach, including Bob Cox, said, you go when you want to go, because we don't know when you want to go. So one of those. So I had the green light for many years and everything, and that was part of my DNA, and stealing bases.
These days, with stolen bases, 60 leads the majors. I believe it was D. Gordon that led this year with 60. Do you think the stolen base is a lost art in baseball?
I think it's a cycle. The guys are hitting the ball out the park on a regular basis. If you saw the World Series, you got shortstops, second basemen that's hitting like power hitters. They can hit 4th and 5th in the lineup, and they're hitting 30 and 40 home runs like they're supposed to. They got confidence. The kids are more stronger. They coming out prepared. They're thinking like we are rookies, but we can play with any veteran on the team, or we're just as good, and they proved it. So that being said, it's not a lost art. It's just a cycle where once the pitchers start to pitch differently, then you'll see them come back, because you always got to get a guy. You can't hit a home run to every ballpark, but look like that's what they're doing. They always say, is the ball juice? I believe the kids are stronger. It depends on what ballpark you're in, and that's what's taking place.
You know, the Braves have got this new sensation that comes out in the 7th inning and does a race. It's called the freeze. So I got a question for you. How big of a head start would you have to give the freeze for it to be a fair race?
No, the freeze have to give me a head start. That guy can run. I was like, man, this guy need to be on the Braves team on a football field. He's got that Julio speed. So when I watched him taking off, you can see the strides. It just reminds me of my strides and the way he's running. So he give him a head start and he take off, and he's got that speed.
Yes,
and I enjoyed that. That's my favorite part of the game.
Yes, sir. So I know you've probably talked about this a million times, but I would not be doing a good job interviewing you if I didn't ask you about it. Andy Van Slyke hits a ball that everybody in the ballpark thought was going to be a home run. When did you know you had a chance?
I did not. You talking about this picture? I'll let you do it. Hold it up.
Right here.
So it says on the bottom, July the 25th, 1992. And that's me going over the fence, and you can't see the scoreboard because we're up by 1 run. And when Andy hit the ball, it's going out the ballpark. It's a home run. They win the ball game. We're in the 8th and 9th inning, and they probably come back and they're gonna win it. We fought toe to toe with these guys all year long. That knocked them out the pennant. That took them out, that took the juice out of them. But Andy Vanderslike will not speak to me. He won't do any interviews with me now, man. And if you guys know Andy Vanderslike, he was a great center fielder. That guy could flat out play. He could hit. And I made one catch against him. He was an all-star. He was a Golden Glove. He made all these catches this year, and he's taking it personal. Andy, I did not mean to do it, but I had to do it, so forgive me, okay?
David Justice came up to you right after that. He's playing right field. Did he say anything memorable to you?
David, if you notice, David was choking Sid on the slide. He had him, he called it a victory hug. He was choking him. He had an MMA choke on Sid at home plate. Go back and look at it. And look at me in the outfield. David is actually giving me high fives and he's hugging me. I went to jump back because I thought he was going to grab me around the neck. So, no, that was just excitement. You go in the moment and David came up. Man, that's one of the greatest. I couldn't hear anything. The stadium is erupted, so I can't hear anything. I just was looking at his mouth and I just could tell he was saying something and I went back over.
Did you know then, you were living in the moment, obviously, but did you know then that it was going to be the iconic moment of the Braves that it is today?
John Sherholtz, I was president at the time. We went through the whole season, and if you know, if it wasn't Lemke one night, it was Terry Pendleton. If you remember, Terry Pendleton, the year before he was the MVP. We had each guy, whether it was Smokes, he shut down somebody, Glavin throwing a 2-hitter, Avery doing something, Dion primetime flying back and forth, football back. We had a lot going on. David was married to Holly Berry at the time. We had a lot going on, and it was under the care of Ted Turner. So that was one of the greatest owners of all time, but we had so many different things and players involved in that particular year. Yes.
So the last question I'm going to ask you, you've made your home here in Atlanta after playing for 9 ball clubs. Obviously, Braves country loves you.
Yeah.
Is there anything you want to say to Braves fans?
Well, I mean, we got one of the best stadiums. We got some new players and young players that's coming up now and everything. And I want the fans to stay with them, which we love the stadium, we love the atmosphere. It's going to be a year and a half. We'll be back in the mix. If you look at Houston, what they did, you can probably see within. Give us 2 years, and I think we'll be bringing a Braves pennant or another World Series, and we'll do, Braves fans. So there it is.
Thank you so much.
Good job, buddy. Good job.